dandelion jelly, aka the poor man's honey. Hey everyone, it's Erin or Mrs. Hop Farm, and today I am going to be trying out a new recipe for dandelion jelly. We have a lot of dandelions growing here at the farm. Bill and I Mr. Hop Farm picked a bunch of dandelions today. I've already rinsed them. What we're gonna do is we're going to cut the greens off and just keep the petals. The recipe is 2 lightly packed cups dandelion flower. We're going to take that with 4 cups of boiling water and we're going to steep those for 24 hours. Once it cools off, we'll put it in the fridge, and then tomorrow I'll come back and we will strain out that liquid. We will use that liquid along with some lemon juice and sugar and pectin, and we are going to make a dandelion jelly. Now, I personally have never had dandelion jelly, but I have heard that it tastes just like honey. So I'm just gonna be sitting here for the next, I don't know, 30, 45 minutes, just getting the greens off. The greens can make, from what I've read, the greens will make the flower bitter. So you wanna get as much green out as you can. So just to clarify too, we are using cat's ear, which is a family member of the common dandelion. The biggest difference you'll see in the cat's ear from the pictures of when we were picking it is the stem for the flower is real tall, and then the leaves of the cat's ear are prickly, hairy looking compared to just your regular dandelion, common dandelion that's low to the ground. They have pretty much the same flavor is my understanding. I did read that the greens on the cat ear are a little less bitter than the greens on the common dandelion. Our recipe calls for 2 lightly packed cups of the dandelion. I almost have, this is my 2nd cup, I almost have 2 cups and I still have a ton of dandelions left. So maybe we'll make 2 batches. And it's okay after you pick them and rinse them, most of them have started to close. If you can see, they're closed. You can still cut them the same. Not gonna hurt anything with them being closed. So there's our 2nd cup. I'm putting them in my jar. And then I'm gonna put 4 cups of boiling water in my jar. Once it cools, I'm gonna put it in the refrigerator and let it steep for 24 hours. And tomorrow, I will be right back to show you guys how to strain this, boil it down with the lemon juice, the sugar, and the pectin, and get it ready so that we can water bath can it. We're adding 4 cups of boiling water to our dandelion cat's ear mixture. That should be 4 cups. So we are going to stir it up real good and make sure they all get wet. And then we are going to let this cool before we stick it lid on it. Put it in the refrigerator and let it sit overnight. Hey guys, so we're back for day 2. Our flowers have now been steeping for 24 hours. So we're gonna get our jars ready so they can be sterilizing while we are draining the petals. So what we wanna do is take our canner and fill it with water, bring it to a good rapid boil, and then we want to put our jars in and we want to boil our jars and the rings for about 10 minutes. This is going to sterilize our jars. We also want to take the lids and put them in warm water so that they can be staying warm while we are processing and filling our jars. When you warm them, that helps melt the wax a little bit around the top. We're going to take these lids, we're going to put them in warm water. We don't want to be boiling them, we just want to warm them. So I put those in a little pot behind our big canner pot. These are brand new jars, so I like to sterilize my jars regardless if they're brand new or they've been used before, every time we use them. And then I'm going to put the rings in as well. Once those have boiled for 10 minutes, then I like to keep my jars hot while I'm cooking the jelly, just again to help it seal better. And then we're going to stick it back in to process and can in the boiling water after we fill them. So it just helps with your jars are cold and you put something hot, potentially they could bust because they're glass is what I hear. So I have a cookie sheet, and when I take the jars out of the pot, I'm going to put them in the oven at 200 degrees so that they'll stay warm while we're cooking our jelly. So let's go over to the island and strain out our flowers and get our liquid ready to cook on the stove for our jelly. Okay guys, so now we're going to strain our petals. So I have a metal bowl, a fine mesh strainer, and also a piece of cheesecloth because I don't want any particles of the flour to get in our jelly juice. We're gonna need 4 cups of this tea liquid. Not really sure why that one's not working properly. So let's pour this in here. So I'm just going to press out as much of this juice out of these flowers as we can get. So I'm going to grab another piece of cheesecloth that I know we can strain through, because I just don't want to take any chances that we have any pieces of the flowers in here. So I'm going to strain this. And we're going to need 4 cups of this liquid. Look at this dark, nice dark dandelion tea. So we have our 4 cups of liquid. I'm just going to pour that right in here. We're going to also need 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. We are going to need a pack of pectin and 4 cups of sugar. So the first thing we want to do is we want to add in our lemon juice and our pectin. Bring that to a boil. Once it starts boiling, we're going to add in our 4 cups of sugar. We're going to bring that to a boil again, and then we're going to let that simmer and cook for about 2 minutes, and then we're going to pour it into our hot jars. So let's grab this pectin. And when I do lemon juice in my recipes, I go ahead and just get a whole fresh lemon and juice it myself. Take our lemon, and I've got a juicer. And this is a fancy old school juicer, right? Another fun Pampered Chef product. I love Pampered Chef products, you guys. I just love kitchen gadgets in general. So I'm gonna go ahead and squeeze this whole thing because I have enough to make another batch of this dandelion jelly. We have our juice, and I need 2 tablespoons. So 1 and 2. And looks like I got a little petal in there. I'm gonna scoop that out. Okay, so we're gonna take this over to the oven or to the stove, and we're gonna get that to a boil. Get our pectin, or I'm using Sure Gel, same thing. We are gonna get that all melted together and get it ready to add our sugar. Okay guys, so we have our tea, flower tea, pectin and lemon on the stove, and we are working on getting it to boil. Once it boils, we're going to add our 4 cups of sugar. We're going to return to boil and cook for 1 to 2 minutes. We're going to remove it from the heat fill up our jars and get them in the canner. Now we are boiling. We are gonna add our sugar. And we are gonna constantly stir. I almost need a bigger pot. We're gonna bring this back to boil and then boil it for 2 minutes once it starts boiling. Looks like we're getting to start to boil. I don't want it to boil over. I'm gonna start my timer. Okay, our 2 minutes is up. We're gonna move over. Okay, so we have our jars straight out of the oven. They're nice and warm. We have our jelly mixture. I just took off the stove that just boiled for 2 minutes. So we are going to fill up our jars. So now we have all our jars filled. You've got your lids in your warm water. We're gonna dry those off. You're also going to make sure we wipe our jars really good, because if there's anything on top of your jars, it could prevent your jars from sealing properly. And then you've just done all this work and wasted jelly. Put your lids on. And then you're just gonna screw your bands on. Not super tight, don't He-Man it. Like I said, we're gonna put them back in our water bath. We've got a nice 1 inch of water over our jars. I've got a good aggressive boil still. So we're gonna go ahead and set our timer for 10 minutes and we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so our jelly just beaked off. We are gonna take it out of the canner. We're gonna set it on a towel and let it sit for 24 hours. In that time, you're gonna hear your lids pop in, which is awesome. After 24 hours, they've been completely cooled. They should have set up. Your jelly should not be runny anymore. Should be a little jiggly maybe. And then you can take the rings off the top. That way you'll know if any of them didn't seal properly. Store them in a cool, dark place. Don't stack them on top of each other, because if your lids did not seal properly and they start to come off, they can't really come off if you have another jar on top of it. So we have this beautiful colored dandelion jelly, aka the poor man's honey. Okay, so there we have it, our 5 jars of dandelion jelly. I hope you guys enjoyed canning with me today. Don't forget to subscribe, because we also have leaf vac coming up soon and lots more canning goods.